Ladies and gentlemen, your favorite Zionist white colonizer, Prince of Zion, coming to you live from the United States of America. We're taking a look at a clip from Douglas Murray.
There's a deep failure of recognition of what it is in our societies that's worked. And I think we're at risk of killing the golden goose by saying the gold isn't golden enough. And the things that work in our society are very fundamental. What the framers, the founders, the framers of the Constitution realized. I mean, you know, maybe the only successful revolution in the world. They realized that things like freedom of conscience, freedom of speech were absolutely the bedrocks. And that if you didn't get them, then the rest could not follow. If you don't believe in freedom of expression, freedom of belief, freedom of worship, a whole set of other problems come. They essentially, as I see it, fall down to the fact that if you are in error, you cannot correct it.
If you are in an error, you cannot correct it. Unpack that.
So this is what John Stuart Mill, for instance, one of the great philosophers of liberty, unpacks in one of his most famous works, On Liberty. The free speech, the necessity of free speech in a society comes about in part because if you are wrong, you need to know you're wrong. So, for instance, if you're doing the economy, if you're running the economy and it's not working, instead of keeping on allowing it to not work, you have to have your ears and eyes open for a system that works. And it's one, by the way, one of the interesting things I find about markets guys in general is their ability to pivot. In a way, by the way, it just goes back slightly to the politicians issue. One of the reasons I'm interested in the way in which market people think is that it's very, very different to the way that politicians think. Politicians can see a wall and they drive towards it at the same speed or faster, and you say wall, 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 and then they hit.
Yeah.
A market guy, you say wall and they move. This is a very, very different instinct. Now, but to go back to this, the ability to correct yourself if you're in error is absolutely key. The lack of information that has been available in not all, but much of the Islamic world for many centuries has caused a deep stagnation in those societies. And as I see it, the oil-rich countries like Qatar and Saudi, although Saudi is interestingly pivoting at the moment, very successfully, really, they have been in the same situation that European monarchies were like in, let's say, the 14th, 15th, 16th centuries, which was they could not grow the economy. There was no such concept, really. You had resources, in those days, sheep and crops. As today, the Gulf countries have oil. But that money was held by a small number of people, and there was just no other way of squeezing money from them other than squeezing them further in some form of taxation or invading a neighbor and taking their stuff. Much of the Muslim world, I think, has failed to grow in the way that the West has succeeded in growing in the last few centuries. And this causes many things. One of them is a deep resentment. And one of the most important insights I've ever stumbled upon in my life in relation to that is there's a particular problem in the Islamic world which people don't really talk about very much, but it's this, that the Quran is meant to be the final revelation of God to man, the final revelation. There's none after it. And all the revelations that come before in the Abrahamic religions are part of Islam. If you are the recipients of the final word, and you are the followers of that word, and the followers of that prophet and that God, why is your society not working? And why are other societies working?
Oh, Douglas. Oh, Douglas, you know how to rub the strings of the Islamists. Oh, Dougie, Dougie, do.
There's a deep psychological problem within much of the Muslim world, which is we thought we were the winners theologically. We're the ones who got the final revelation. And I think, by the way, that much of the anti-Americanism, the anti-Zionism, and anti-Westernism in much of the Muslim world falls down to this fact somewhere at its root, which is how come they're doing better than us when we were told that we were best? And I think it causes serious cognitive dissonance. It's one of the reasons why the Muslim world is so vulnerable to conspiracy theory. It's why when a shark attack happened at Sharm el-Sheikh 10 years ago, the local authorities said that the shark that had eaten the bather at the most popular tourist resort in Egypt had been sent by the Zionists. This is like seeing the hand of the West. So it goes back to our earlier conversation. Seeing the hand of the West in other things is an explanation for why the things are not doing well there. And in country,
I just have to say, as a dirty Zionist white colonizer, it does kind of get me off in the right way to think that Egyptians, these fucking idiots in Egypt, are like, Zionists, shark Zionists. I kind of love it. I have to be honest with you, at a certain level, just because the brain rot, the Islamic supremacist brain rot, is so deep that a dolphin or a shark attack will cause you to think it was the evil Jews.
The country, whether it's Egypt, which is doing comparatively well compared to some of them, or Iran, as well, the immiseration of the people, the inability to unleash talent, and much more comes back to this small number of people benefiting and having no idea how to unleash talent underneath. That and political and personal and religious freedom, including freedom of speech and freedom of worship, are the absolute prerequisites. And that is why I cannot understand the suicidal anti-Westernism within our societies in our time. Because, as I like to say, you know, the footfall should tell us everything. Nobody, as you say, is trying to go to Iran in order to have freedom of religion. Nobody is going into communist China for a better life. Certainly not from the West.
They have a negative net migration, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And this is why when I think of the sort of college students who believe that, you know, no one's had it so bad as you do in 2024 at Berkeley, one of the things I'm sort of amazed at is, like, do you not notice that the world wants to come here? Do you not think there might be a reason for that? And do you not think that it might be because there are some things that we've done well here, and that if we've done well with them in the past, we should hold on to those things?
Yeah. You're a history guy.
I mean, absolutely beautiful analysis by Douglas Murray on there. I mean, like, there's not really much more to say other than I'll add this little teensy-weensy bit of nuance. This colonization that has happened to the Arab world and to the Muslim world, and I'm speaking now to my Mandeans watching, my Copts watching, my Assyrians watching, my Kurdish people watching, my every ethnic minority that's watching me. By the way, I'm with you, by the way. When you guys send me messages on Instagram, on YouTube, I see your emails, I see your messages. I know I don't reply to everybody, but you guys know I have a special place in my heart for you because I've been fighting for you alongside the Jewish people, alongside our nation since day one of this. I'm with you. I'm locked in with you. We know the truth. We have the answer to the Muslim world. We know what needs to happen. And it's to decolonize the Islamic world, to decolonize the Arab world. It's not just the religion of Islam, because I have a hard time pointing out the religion of Islam as a core issue in the Middle East. But it's the colonization, it's the Arabization that came forcibly with Islam to the rest of this region and took all of our freedoms away. It took all of our homes away. It took all of our region away from us. This is what we're fighting for. This is what this YouTube channel exists for. And that is what's causing the serious brain rot in Islamic society. That's what's causing the serious brain rot in Arab society. It is a brainwashing movement of colonization that does not allow the simplest Arab, the simplest Muslim, to raise their head up to realize what is the truth. And the truth is that a vast majority of Arabs are not Arab, and a vast majority of Muslims are not even considered real Muslim by Muslims. I brought this analogy up before. Go to somebody in the Gulf, they look at a Palestinian as not a real Muslim and not a real Arab. Go to the nearest Palestinian, they'll look at somebody in Sudan/Somalia as not a real Arab or a real Muslim. Look at somebody from Sudan, Somalia, they'll look at somebody in North Africa as not a real Arab, not a real Muslim. The racism is rife, the segregation is rife, the hatred is rife, and then you have a billion different sects of Islam and Arabs, and nobody's getting along, and everybody's killing each other. That's the truth. And that's why this YouTube channel exists, because nobody else is talking about this. We're trying to make a change in the narrative, but that's why we're here. That's why I show up for you guys every day. That's why I show up here every day, because we're going to make a change. This community is going to make a change in this shit. That's the truth, baby. I'll see you guys in the next one. I love you long time. Goodbye, class.
If you believe in my content and want to support me, just know your help is needed. There's a bunch of great ways to support me, being PayPal, Buy Me a Coffee, or joining my Patreon community down below. Patreon is the best way to support my channel, and you'll get a bunch of cool perks depending on what tier you join. Another great way to support me is by buying my merchandise on thetravelingclat.com. I regularly drop new merch designs like this beautiful hat, or this amazing shirt, where you can support the channel and get something cool for yourself. I also have an amazing Discord community with people from all over the world. Thank you so much for your support.